Welcome back to the GSTEAM Academy course for mentors and to this short video on approaches and resources for applying intersectionality to STEM teaching. We'd like to start with recalling the fact that EU policies have been addressing gender inequalities in STEM research and education since a few decades now. The most recent STEM education strategic plan published in 2025 by the European Commission is deeply integrating a gender approach in its focus, slightly less intersectionality, but it is a good start in that sense. The strategy starts from acknowledging that there is a persistent gender gap in STEM fields and recalling how women in 2022 accounted for only 1/3, slightly more than 1/3 of students in STEM tertiary fields. And that in vocational education training, STEM, this is even worse, as women represent only 16% of enrollment there. So the strategic plan identifies several root causes linked to persisting societal expectations and stereotypes that influence girls' career aspirations and their choices, their attitude, their motivation and performance in STEM subjects, and recommends to take action in order to raise interest of girls for STEM subjects, to attract them to STEM careers later on, but also underlines how this is not enough, and that a gender approach needs to be integrated into the design of teaching methods, into how classroom settings are conceived. So all in all, emphasizing the importance of adopting gender-sensitive teaching strategies and materials. Importantly, as I was anticipating, the strategic plan starts integrating at least partially an intersectional approach. There's no reference to intersectionality as a framework in an explicit way, but still, along with gender, there is an acknowledgement of socio-economic disadvantage as a strong predictor of student performance, and therefore class is acknowledged and taken into account, and also migration and race, therefore, as the plan highlights how half of disadvantaged students in the EU underachieve in mathematics, and students with a migrant background are at higher risk of underachievement. Also, special needs and disabilities are accounted for and recognized as areas where the member states should take action to achieve inclusive STEM education. Besides or beyond the policies, how it is important for STEM teachers more at the micro level, at the classroom level, to try to adopt intersectionality as an approach. So on one hand, intersectionality can help us recognizing stereotypes and inequalities related to gender, race, sexual orientation, socioeconomic background, disability, and their intersections or cumulative effects in a school context. And uh, can help us acknowledging and wondering to what point pupils from different backgrounds have had or have different levels of literacy or encouragement, depending on their uh, positionalities. And this therefore impacts on uh, how we can improve communication and collaboration in the classroom, as well as empower the less privileged, while at the same time intersectionality offers a nice approach towards self-reflexivity as teachers, providing tools to question one's own positioning and therefore one's own prejudices or privileges, depending on our own story and biography. And this is a good starting point to work on inclusiveness and recognition of differences and inequalities, possibly using a mainstreaming approach. So, reflecting on how to use and apply intersectionality throughout the entire cycle of the teaching activities. Therefore, from preparation to of the lessons to delivery of teaching to assessment, communication, or guidance activities that are offered to students. I was anticipating we want to present you with some resources and concrete tools that we have designed and developed in another Erasmus Plus project that concluded 1 year ago, the Fairness in Teaching FIT project. All of the tools that I'm going to introduce are accessible through the provided links. The first tool is the Women Beyond STEM flashcards. We designed a pack of flashcards to be used to develop interest and knowledge about pioneer women in STEM fields from the past and current days, with a particular attention on the different grounds of discrimination underlying their contribution to science. There are quite several flashcard games available, but we tried to improve in integrating intersectionality in the way the game is conceived. And so this pack, composed of 2 decks of 57 couples of cards each, is presenting the scientists' short biography, their areas of interest, and the cards with face and name also include, as you can see, an intersectional wheel. Therefore, a mate slices shape, whereas each slice corresponds to a discriminatory ground faced by the scientist during her lifetime. And several games can be played with this tech and are explained in the instruction, from knowledge boosting games to memory to identifiers, and also creatively like make your own cards games. Um, Neurodiversity Unveiled is a resource that science teachers can use to introduce and deepen the topic of neurodiversity by making use of a map and a slide set that comprehensively refer to different topics, um, all with scientific references about the body functioning and neurological aspects, neurodiversity specific aspects, the main manifestations of neurodiversity, how this was approached in history, and therefore the myths and stereotypes on neurodiversities, and also their relation to gender, and how to debunk those. So here, science teachers can follow the sequence of the slides to set up a lesson and draw the attention on these topics. To continue, another creative activities that we designed um, focused and targeting late primary elementary school students this time is a set of materials for the body and change drawing and collage exercise, where we engage children in expressing and reflecting on perceptions of how body is changing, how gender is expressed, and so to get familiarized with self-perception and bodily self-perception. Um, this game and exercise can be accompanied by a science lesson on the reproductive system and sexuality as well. For pre-adolescent pupils, the game is divided in three main phases. After having printed the set of materials and after having distributed it to pupils, they color their self-image. And so they first work on the me now representation and then reconstruct the image of the adult self, therefore combining different sprites composing the body that will also be handed over, choosing between female and male parts in different size and potentially mixing them up. Um, and they can include the images represented the sexual attributes into the circles. In this case, the teacher will guide an individual or a group reflection on the resulting body, and if need be, the topics related to gender dysphoria or gender transition can be introduced. Finally, the privilege spanning work is another resource that we made available within the Fairness in Teaching project. You might know about the privilege walk, an exercise where participants stand in a horizontal line in the middle of a room, and then the teacher or facilitator reads a statement that is related, that is a question related to having or not having experienced forms of privilege. Whereas you step forward or step back depending on the extent to which you have been privileged. Then at the end of the game, there is a debate on how the different participants are positioned. The traditional privilege work is broad and focuses on several aspects of biographies here. What we did was to create a STEM-focused version of the game. The exercise can support acknowledging that not everyone is facing the interests or the relation towards STEM discipline starting from the same point. And it's a nice way to break the ice or the awareness when teaching STEM. So I really hope this lesson sounded as interesting and potentially useful to you, and I thank you for your attention.